Well, we recorded the general public area. Come to anything or take part. And the first thing we do is public participation, which enables members of the public to make comments or ask questions. They will have 5 minutes per individual line. We will try and think that fairly rigorously for that. First off, we have links. Go back to the links then. Yeah, speaking on so I can't. Well, was a very, very good one to I can stand there.
Don't say 5 minutes. Just to say, I've been confirmed by the Efficiency Deputy Head of Planning in North Somerset. If you choose to, you can use still money for Sutton CCTV. There's also, this is from the Community Safety Subcommittee at North Somerset, that the MTP car park in Weston was recently prosecuted or given a notice would be. North Somerset car park, some are teacher in that line as well. I believe you've seen a report in your papers about a meeting that we held a few days ago. And really, I would say that North Somerset cuts all of its community response officers who deal with antisocial behaviour and other community safety. And I think that's 2023 or 24, the budget. So it's pretty recent. So I'd only ask you to consider if the use of cell or town council resources is simply the right thing to do to solve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, we have Richard Parker, update for info from Clevedon Trust.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, Councillor. I appreciate that some of you may not have been present at the Council meeting in January on 28. So I'd just like to briefly confirm the basis pitch that we made for funding towards feasibilities. Our model is one where we secure the agreement of a landowner to provide land and then select a registered housing provider to build and manage the homes thereafter. Registered providers have until this year been able to claim a significant contribution towards their feasibility costs from the government's Homes Income Scheme, but this facility has not been renewed by the current government. As a result, our application to you for funding will enable a large part of the feasibility study to be completed, which we hope will then be a sufficient contribution for the registered provider to take it on, complete, and commit to a full planning application. Our project has the support of paid-up members, others as Governor Clevedon, Society, and a number of other local voluntary organisations. Our presentation in January was strongly supported by Councillor Francis Pester and was based on a proven need following a survey by North Somerset Council to some 250 affordable homes to rent, mostly social housing, in the Clevedon area. You agreed, that's this council, agreed to set up an earmarked reserve of £100,000 to fund that feasibility study with the intention of bringing 100 affordable homes to rent on a field offered to us by Charles Elton. As part of that decision, you agreed on the 28th of January that you would appoint 2 to 3 council representatives who work with the Land Trust on what was called the Memorandum of Understanding, which we have offered. It was offered as a partnership document which would assist council members and auditors to agree the relationship between the council and the Land Trust in making that fund later. We also provided draft heads of terms which would set up the landowner's agreement to transfer the land to the land. Although in the 4 months since January, we've not been invited to such a working group, we are several times to meet with Councillor Francis Pastor and also with the local clerk to confirm if any changes were required by the FGP. In that time, on the passage of 3 FGP meetings, we didn't receive any written confirmation of feedback from these discussions with either the councillor or the local clerk. So prior to the FGP meeting, the last one on the 19th May, we wrote to Councillor Francis Pastor to seek his confirmation that no alterations were required to the 2 documents. He responded in writing a week before the FGP that, subject to the confirmation of the land transfer, we should be fine. We informed the local clerk immediately before he completed the agenda for that meeting, and although we agreed to copy the 2 signed documents to members with the agenda, we understand it did not happen. At the meeting itself, the Councillor Francis has to mention for the first time that a 3rd document was now recovered, the detail of which will be passed on to us by the local clerk. This arrived on the 28th of May and indicates that a design layout is required from a registered provider before any funds could be drawn from the reserve. As we pointed out in our original memorandum of understanding, there were a series of specific projects linked to making a full feasibility study. And the requirement we've now been asked for cannot be met until major aspects of that study in character. I therefore need to advise the Council that although Councillor Francis Pastor had indicated to us that the MOU and its terms have been agreed, it is not possible to meet this new requirement before we seek to draw down funds. I plan to formally reply to the Chief Clerk tomorrow in response to the letter that I received then from Mr. Ron Spurs on the 28th of May. Thank you.
Thank you. David Warren? Do you want to stand there or come here? Or do you? Can grab a seat and use the mic if you like.
I think I can do it.
Okay, you can do it.
I'll let you.
Just say you're not very loud, I can do it.
Okay. Hi everybody. My name is Dave Brett. I'm chair of the board of bus, which there are several members here already. I'm just going to update you on a few things. People are really concerned about the bus services here in North Somerset, and especially here in Cordano Hub. Especially from our members, we've got about 300 strong membership, plus now it's growing, and our membership here in Clevedon has got extremely concerned about the removal of the X7 and other things. We held a meeting on an open bus meeting for the residents on the 20th of May with the Clevedon Cricket Club, and we've got another one coming up, which I think I've just advertised to you guys shortly, which is on the date, but so anyway, what I thought I'd do is I'd deliver the findings from that. We asked people, get the questionnaires, and we asked people what they thought. There was an attendance of over 100 people. Okay, at our meeting. There were 61 completed questionnaires. Right, now I'll go down to regular business. Related to regular buses, okay, on those questionnaires, we've analysed 83% said they have no bus service in the area, which up top of the hill there is no surprise. Then there were 96% said that they used to use the X7, but it's no longer available. 57, that's 93%, said they would use buses if they were regular, reliable, and reasonably priced to go to and from where they needed to go. And 80% said they would leave their cars at home and use buses if they were regular, reliable, and reasonably priced to go to and from where they needed to go. 72% said they think a minibus around town system which is being considered in Portishead, would probably give more access to more people so they could get into the closest streets, things like that. A Westlink DRT, where do I begin? 86% said they did not use Westlink DRT. Reasons why they don't use it. 36% said they don't understand how to use it. 21% said they can't use the app. 13% said they found the call centre difficult to use. A call centre is unhelpful. 6% said they did not have a computer, and 4% said that there was another reason, but most said it was because it was so unreliable. Now that in itself speaks volumes, in my opinion. The Westlink DRT system has been described by North Somerset Transport as an experiment that has cost a lot of money and has been a huge failure. So they know about it, but they continue to use it for the next 2 years. Okay, spending something like 57,000 each year for the next 2 years to run an even limited, but more limited service on DRT, which is no good. So it's a waste of money. Okay. I know these figures are from those 2 meetings that we had up there locally, and they are currently, it's like half the measure really, because we've got to do more meetings down in town years ago, that balance point of view. So they're preliminary findings. I've got the date here. We're planning another meeting here at Clevedon Town Council Hall on the 11th of June. Okay. However, that meeting will probably be too late for the NSC online bus forums on the 9th of June for us to be able to collect the response in time. The NSC bus forum meeting at 11 AM on the 12th of June. So a bit inconvenient, but we'll still take it forward. I think these findings are substantial and should be used to discuss with NSC on behalf of the Clevedon community. They substantiate that people do believe a local round town minibus service that is regular, reliable and reasonably priced would be an answer, or the part answer. They would also substantiate that Westlink DRT is ineffective and why it's failing. Many people do not understand how to use it, and if you gather the other answers on this point of view, can't access the app in courses. Its reliability is also an issue, and some people have stated they do not use it, especially now, as the hours and days it runs can reduce so severely they can get an outward journey, but they very often can't get home back journey. So it's now between 9 and 2 o'clock only. Very often, if they ring the call centre and get a call saying, "Can I have this for 10 AM in the evening?" Okay, they then get told that they can't book another bus back, okay, until they get to wherever they're going to go. So then what they've got to do is ring up the call centre again, very often to get told, "I'm sorry, but there's no bus availability." And that is because they've also reduced the number of buses that are in the area. So this leaves many old people, especially people with disabilities, totally stranded. What I'm going to suggest the NSC councillors, which we've got one here today, so that's nice to see. And we had a couple up there as well, and we had 4 town councillors up there, okay, at that meeting to see how it went on. I would suggest NSC councillors take this up with NSC at their meetings, but also Clevedon town councillors take this up with both the town council and NSC working in association with the NSC councillors. I would also recommend that Clevedon Town Council look to set up a regular open meetings with the community, inviting both NSC Transport and their officers, as well as representatives from the bus companies such as Sheriff Bus, Big Lemon and the Airway. Portishead Town Council have been doing this for some years, okay, and residents find this useful.
4 minutes if you just stick a script, because wind up to the script.
Okay, so is that
Carry on, but just
we've just got
right.
Also to recommend the town council is that they consider putting money from their precept towards the round town council minibus system. Portishead have done this and has been well received by NSC Transport as a suggestion. NSC are currently looking to devolve its responsibilities and partnership on transport in such a way and looking at other opportunities such as voluntary sector funding, using voluntary groups to finance transport in the areas. needed to be considered. So we believe that that's a way forward because NSC always rely every year on what the government give them towards travel, and they don't tend to look any further than that. Okay, so we think it's a possibility of way forward to get more regular, reliable transport. If you just rely on government funding, be it up or down each year, then all they're going to do is do what they've done here, which is take away the X7 bus. Okay, people got used to use it.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, yeah, thanks very much.
thank you very much.
I think we'll take that all on board and put what we can on the Transport Highways Committee meeting and set up further boards.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
I'll do. Right. Thank you all to our speakers. Trevor, you can speak to that, yes.
Yeah, can I just a quick question? Reading the speaker that talked to us about that, can I just say that the last FGB meeting was the 19th of May. There are 2 more documents that should have been produced ahead of that meeting. They have still not been circulated to members of the council. This should have been done because people are listening to what certain representatives are saying. You've got no idea what's going on because they haven't seen the supporting paperwork, which has been provided to the town council. And I think it's remiss of the town council, they haven't circulated that information to all councils. Could I request that be done urgently? Thank you.
I agree. Being a bit long in it all. Right, moving into the agenda. Apologies for absence. Sorry?
Sorry, I was invited today to actually talk as well, so obviously I'm not on the list.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Right, to apologise.
Is that okay?
It is, I think just about called me before you got into the agenda, yes.
I'm sure to speak.
Sorry, I didn't realise you were on the list. You're welcome because you're a member of the public and member of this football system, yes. If you just introduce yourself and tell me your name and address.
True actions. So I was coming today to tell you about the project that I'm about to deliver in Clevedon. So it's a project called Improving Aging, working with people over 65. It's been funded by Realty for 5 years. And I'm working, particularly working in Clevedon. So just to let you know that I'm on the patch. And there will be kind of groups that work with people over 65 in the area. So if there was anybody in the room that wanted to kind of talk to me afterwards about some of the things that they're actually will do or wants to know more about the project, then you can do that.
Okay, that's lovely. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, can you repeat your organisation?
True action Wilson, sir.
Okay.
Newsletter if I can actually leave that a little bit more information about the project in the room.
Lovely, thank you. Sorry I missed you. See, apologies for absence. So you've got Councillor Harriet. I'll take Councillor Carol Lord from the chair because I do believe she's on that list. Anything else? Anyone? We'll Right, Declan. Chris?
Yeah, point of order, Chair. So this is the Councillor Briggs who's not attending the meeting, and again, that's not offered his apologies. I did mention it to the local town clerk, and he did tell me that he would be contacting him about this. So I just want to make the point. Are these non-attendances being monitored?
Good point. No idea. Are there? Yeah. I'd like to think, as most councils have, we have an attendance record.
Yes.
That's a good point. I didn't even realise one here. So,
Well, I think it's disrespectful to yourself and the other council president and the staff, to not give apologies.
good point. Yeah, point taken. Joe?
Yeah, well, that's it. I was really critical if we see town council to allow the by-elections to be run because people have resigned at cost of about £10,000 a pop. And these councillors that are elected rarely seem to attend. And I think it's quite shocking that this is now the case. And I would say that people are on this town council and don't actually live in Clevedon, so in inverted commas. Why on earth should they come to Clevedon Town Council and be on this town council if they're not prepared to participate? If they don't participate, they should vacate the seat and let somebody else in the town take it on.
Thank you. Anyway, we received 2 apologies so far, and there's other people missing, so we'll take it from that. Declarations of interest for anything on any agendas? No? Take that from me then. So, receive and approve the minutes of the Suffolk Town Council meeting on the 6th of May. I think maybe everyone was here, so have any comments or should I have a proposal? Seconded? So, all in favour? Anyone against? The first one actually on we've received them. Do you want to speak?
Yeah, I think there was a. You talking about the 6th of May?
Yeah.
Yeah, bear with me. I think there was a link there. Sorry, I'm looking at. Oh yeah. In the draft minutes, it says, discuss the word blah. Proposed by Councillor Shotton and seconded by Councillor Young.
I think she had resigned for a few.
I think that might have to be amended. I don't know.
If that's the case, we'll look into it again. Yeah.
So, no,
In that point, right, we've been seeing John. We will amend that. Chairman's report. I haven't really got much apart from one which I regard as quite urgent. Most people in front of them have got an ordnance survey map just showing a piece of land in Strode Road. Some people might know it as the X2. Some people might know it. Some caravans were parked there last month around Northam, so got quite a race about it. But subsequently, because of that, North Somerset have actually put out a tender for offers of interest for the piece of land. And the closing date of those offers of interest are the 18th of June. And from my point of view, I think this council should consider buying it. Taking on certain things, but more interestingly, I think maybe is possible storage. If we get involved in devolution after the next election, with taking on responsibility from gardening and Glendale and doing all our own things like Clevedon, which we don't even know what to be yet, there will bound to be a more element to the storage facilities we've got. And the guide price is somewhere between £3,000 and £6,000. I can't do it tonight, so we'd have to convene a special meeting. So I'm just chucking out there. I'm open to offers. This council might want to do nothing. It might want to investigate something, but we've got till June the 18th to put in a offer of interest. So, Trevor,
Yeah, all three. Couple of thoughts. What you suggest is a very good idea, and it would certainly make a good depot for storage of vehicles or tools or equipment, cabin or whatever, to run things. Much as it was when it was an amenity site. There was some shipping containers in there, acting as offices, and there was the skips and all the rest of it. My main concern is allowing this land to go onto the open market. A, it's probably heavily contaminated. because it was used as a tip for many, many years. And I would hate to think that someone's going to buy it and just sort of basically put their hardcore over the top of it, and that's it. It was horrendously overgrown the last time I saw it, with chain link fencing all the way around and high gates. But because it's so close to the river and the southern extremes of the town, I think that we should take a decision tonight and give a youth chair could take it on your authority to say that the town council would like to express a interest in the land. We can then put it to a formal meeting later on. Let's express an interest because I would hate to put a door on the market. And when you look around the country, pieces of land that come on the markets, we all know what's like to happen over a bank holiday weekend. So yes, I would most certainly say yes. Let's express an interest, and if you could do that from the chair, please.
Chris, you're
I was just going to say, I'm going to ask you to support that, Chairman, and in adjunct to that, and I'm sure you're aware of this, a women party was set up by this council just recently with regard to devolution, and the chairman who was appointed to that working group party has since resigned from the council. So something needs to be done about that.
third point.
Yeah, thank you.
Got you, Phil.
Chairman, the microphone's not working, but yes, I would endorse that as well. The only thing I would say, and I don't mean this facetiously, but we need to check the North Somerset actually own it. It's not unusual for them to present bits of land, but they don't. But assuming that, then I'm just going ahead.
Yeah, how's it got breakfast news on it?
Oh.
So, just as a recap, as part of this, this is just a map, so anyone can know where it was. There is a complete fact back, which is changing. It does go into the decontamination. There was a report done about 2011, if I remember rightly. I don't know if it's been decontaminated, but it was contaminated that, yeah. So hence why this piece of land, which is for £3,000 or £5,000, not 30,000 to £50,000, because the chances of getting planning for development, etc., are minuscule. Phil?
I was just going to say, if Trevor was putting what he said as a proposal, I'd second it.
Okay. You can chair. Take it in the sorry.
We cannot say, but David?
Chairman, taking up what Councillor Morgan said, this is a contaminated site, was the site of the isolation hospital before it became what it is now. North Somerset have refused applications for planning on this site for the past 30 years. They have also refused to consider anyone leasing it or renting it. And I feel that before I recognise no objection to that, we should ascertain what measures they would require to clear this site of contamination. It could be thousands, tens of thousands. And I think that is something we ought to know. They would require done to it, bring it up to a acceptable standard, something to be done on the site. So that can actually be included in our inquiry.
I'd just like to say I totally agree. So I'm not quite familiar with the actual matter of land, so I can't get my head around where it is. But is it open land? So there's no unit or anything. It's open land, and it was a landfill before, something similar.
Yeah, if you go over the bridge, Road Road,
Yeah.
towards the golf course,
Yeah.
it's literally the first on the right hand side.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
So yeah,
just past the building.
I totally agree. So I have experience in my background with land that has been used for such landfills and stuff like that, and there's a lot of red tape to jump over. So I agree with what David said. But obviously the timeline, I also agree that purchasing the land, if it's practical, is obviously the best thing for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to where's
Well, I'm not going to take it further. But that's one of the endorsement that we can have to go further. So can I, even though it's not official at the moment, we can have a show of hands who want to take it further.
Yeah, so you're going to have this here.
Right, well, that's reasonably united. Right, I'll take it further on. Like I say, I'll look into the contamination, etc. I still think if we actually want to put an offer by the 18th of June, which they're asking, we are going to have to probably convene a full council meeting to do it properly. But I'll look into it, and but now I know the measure of the room, I'll take it further, and if I have to do that, we'll convene a meeting, which will take 10 minutes, because I'll put the information out before it. But to actually make this legal, I think we'd have to do a full council meeting in 10 minutes, just so we can vote for it and be recorded. But I think it's important enough to do that, really. But thank you all for that one. That's my challenge report. This is something I Right, moving on, we've got to receive and approve or note the minutes of the following council committees. So, for noting minutes of the planning committee are on the 13th of May. Right, that's moved and approved by. You got that? Minutes of the property meeting come on the 29th of April. Finance and General Policy Committee, 19th of May.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Chairman, apologies, these are a little bit more complicated because they run into the part one items, and I have already spoken to our partner tonight because the minutes were sent out with the papers for the meeting. I haven't seen them beforehand, and there are a number of errors in the minutes which I just need to draw to members' attention. First of all, there is no mention, and should have been, of the need to circulate documents that Trevor mentioned, and those should have been circulated. Secondly, and very importantly, in case Councillor Shopland is somewhat shocked by the minutes, it was Councillor Chris Griffiths, who was proposed, seconded, and voted Vice Chairman, so I don't want Councillor Shopland worrying that he's got to take his socks off on big numbers. It really is an error in the minutes. Third thing is that when we come to the Clevedon land trust project, it was, as is expressed in there, but it was also agreed, and I think Councillor Morgan would concur with this, that Ron should send a letter to the land trust outlining those points. That is why that letter has been done, to which Richard Harper referred earlier on. So that's not explicitly shown in the minutes, but those are amendments to the minutes. Other than that, if members are happy to proceed from those into the part one items, the first part one item is the renewal and approval of the council insurance with clear insurance management. We did approve in principle that we would do this from FMGP, but there was one item outstanding which Councillor Shopland asked us to insure, and that is, sorry, no pun intended, which is the mugger is included because we owned a mugger and it wasn't shown on the insurance. That has been followed up and is now included. So with that in mind, it was proposed and seconded at the meeting, but we need to formally approve that we are going ahead with the renewal premium, which is £12,480.52. So can I ask for a show of support for that part one item?
Yeah, all in favour? There we go.
Thank you, Chairman. The second part one item is for the agreement of civil expenditure on benches. Two things to draw attention to on this. The first is that we were awaiting confirmation, which I believe we've now had, that we can use SIL money for that purpose. So we've got that. And the other thing is just to clarify, in case members were not fully sure, originally the quote for the benches was £4,900. That is still the case, but we had an unexpected windfall of £1,500 from North Somerset, related to the contractor who did the work on Tickler Road. So that brings the cost of this to us down to £3,400, and the proposal is that we go ahead with that and that we use SIL funds for that project. Again, can I ask for a show?
Can I just ask a quick thing? So we need the overview first. So is the still funds £3,400?
Yes.
So it's completely out of still fund.
Yes, but, well, no, the total project is £4,900, and the £1,500 of that has come from Tickler Road Works, which came to the council and has gone towards the first half of that project, and the 3,400 is the balance.
Oh, okay.
All right, and that is coming from SIL.
The other thing, Mr. Chairman, I did support it, I believe, on the proviso. The Chickenham Road monies were put into it, but in the event of our requiring anything in Chickenham Road, such as the seat to admire the view, that would not be prejudiced by our losing the money to this, making people happy on the seafront.
Well,
That's an observation, Mr. Chairman. But
absolutely.
Entirely in favour of each piece of money being spent on these ones, but we can't hold that debate now, right?
No, understandably.
We may want to see for aging councillor decision in March to any treatment.
Well,
we won't want that money.
As long as there's an appropriate declaration of interest should that arise. But to be serious, Chairman, we are doing this partly because obviously with certain SIL monies and other monies, there are timescales attached that this helps that, but also with the benefit of this £1,500, it will allow us to retain in SIL sufficient money should the dear elderly chap sitting next to you require events. So I'd like to look
That's I think it's all in favour? Anyone against? No, carry.
So, Chairman, just formally then the minutes don't just propose for adoption because we've done part one.
Another proposal? I'm happy to vote for those. All in favour? Anyone against? Those are carried. I presume that all the meeting with us is about full council, isn't it? There's not very many committees, is there? We looked at it like the same, isn't it? Right, okay. Right, that's the end of the committee report. Moving on to the motion from Councillor Brain, seconded by Councillor Moore. Would you like to introduce it?
Right, it's not. Sarah, I did speak to Ron as soon as the agenda came out.
Oh, okay.
So.
Did we establish it was seconded by anyone?
Well, Carol Lord said that she would, but
Well, I'll say.
she's not here.
All right, I'm seconded then. Right, so sorry, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Got to look at it up.
You might should have known. Then
Okay, is that okay now? Most of these things are there. Technology for that? Right. The reason why I made this proposition of the chair, well, there's a number of reasons, of course, why I don't feel about this whole project. It's, screen bells, it's got playing, it certainly has to be in on the but that's not the main reason. The main reason is that up to £100,000 is a lot of money. And at the end of the day, we are not likely to see anything tangible for it. Now, I believe that there are much more pressing reasons for spending money on a tangible project that everyone can see that is the townhouse's work. And we've refurbished the village hall, the 1868 building, which you may be aware of. It's not a diminutive building, but it is an asset. And if we do it up really nicely, then it's something that we can point to definitively the town council has done.
Whereas if we use this money for feasibility study for a project which had a considerable amount of opposition, then we could be criticised for misusing public funds. So that's what I put forward this proposal.
Right, thank you. Open to questions then. Trevor?
Yeah. Right, first question. Why is this on the agenda?
Because it's a motion.
But it's an motion that is requesting money from a separate body to the town council. It's nothing to do with the town council. The village hall is run by trustees. The trustees asked if they want money. They came to this council and they asked for expenditure to be allowed up to £20,000 to give them a loan to facilitate bringing the village hall back into usable state. That came from the trustees. The trustees presented it to the town council voted to approve it. I can find no legal entity where there has been a meeting, subsequent meeting of the village hall trustees in which they have requested a sum of £100,000 for the renovation of the hall. This is not the correct way to do it. This procedure is all wrong, and this motion should be struck out immediately because it has nothing to do with the town council. It is a matter to be decided by the trustees. The trustees have applied. The trustees have already been allocated funds to get on with the renovation. I think this is completely wrong. It should be struck out. It bears no legal form here tonight. If the trustees want money, they must have a meeting and then go to this council. There has been no meetings of the trustees since the 8th of April. So therefore, how on earth can we allocate funds for something we know nothing about, nothing's been requested, or we don't know what on earth it's for? It's got to be done properly. If there is a demand for money for the village hall must have a meeting, and those trustees must decide what they want to ask this town council for. At this moment in time, I think the clerk should rule that this is completely out of order. It is not legally correct, and this should go back to the trustees for them to decide what they want to do going forward.
Mr. Chairman, basically Councillor Morgan has said what I was going to say. The trustees are a separate entity to the council. The village hall is a separate entity to the town council, legally and otherwise. And if the trustees want money, they have to apply wherever they can to get it. That's what I think intrigued me in the wording of the motion, where in passed it is the extra £100,000 coming from, because there is nothing basically on the sheet that I read in the motion that says we are taking the money away from anything. So I'm just intrigued to know where it did find 100,000 in the village hall, where it was coming from.
It's hypothetical money.
Remember that, that's not the rabbit, right? The other thing is that on this feasibility study, I suspect it is still within the 3-month rule. I'm not sure about that. And the other thing is that this council virtually unanimously agreed to it.
Yeah.
These people had certain conditions that they should meet before we advance the money. I'm not sure whether they fully understood all of those conditions, but I feel we can't arbitrarily take the money away. We want social housing in Clevedon. We've all been looking for it. I view this site somewhat favourably because it is the only way that the residents of Hizzard Green are going to get their playing fields restored, which were robbed from them by the district council. Mr. Chairman, I feel that I would move an amendment to this, if it is not withdrawn, that the monies remain where they are for the moment for 6 months to enable the body of people looking for new housing to come up with the necessary terms to comply with what we want. If they can't within 6 months, the money then reverts to the council. That would be my amendment, Mr. Chairman, but Councillor Morgan has raised it that basically the motion cannot happen because that isn't the way that the village hall gets money to do anything.
I'll let you start, Roger, then. If you just take a note of what's going on, you can speak to all again. There's your motion, right? Chris?
Chair, I'm extremely to be able to agree with Councillor Shonda. And I think quite often with actually, Tim and I actually do agree on a lot more than we disagree about. So I'm very, very pleased to wholeheartedly agree with Councillor Shonda this evening. He's absolutely right. We should not even be discussing the community landscape initiative. That is a work in progress. And management meeting is happening. It's not on the agenda this council meeting, so we should not be discussing it. And Councillor Shopman is absolutely right in what he said, and therefore we should not be discussing Councillor Brown's motion either. Thank you.
Carl?
Well, Chairman, bear with me because I'm not going to disagree with what's just been said. I think we need to point out a couple of things. First of all, as far as procedure is concerned, we could discuss a motion on rabbits. Someone puts it on there, it doesn't necessarily mean we have a working party on rabbits. So we're trying to discuss this. The second point is that, with the greatest respect to my elders of the parliamentary veteran on this council, we are entitled to earmark money as we wish. It is the allocation of the money that is the issue, actually giving it to one organisation. Therefore, we have allocated money to the Land Trust, which is not directly organisationally related to the council. We could allocate the money to the Trust for the Village Hall, should we wish to do so. But it doesn't mean we're agreeing tonight on a circumstance of actually giving that money away. But we can allocate it. My concern is that we begin to look disingenuous. There may be issues which need to be bottled out with this project at the moment, and we are working to do that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that either we're about to give money away or that we should take the money away, because we need to bottom those issues out. I am concerned procedurally that we agreed this with the budget earlier in the year, and I'm not sure that under the 6 months rule we can actually change that. That is the rule that concerns me, not the issue of allocating money. I think if the 6 month rule is not applied, we can allocate the money even though the organisation is an external body, then there would have to be an application from that money for money. But that is no different from the arrangement that we've got. What I think we've got to be careful about is that we have allocated money under the budget along with a lot of other things. Then there may be circumstances yet to be met whereby that money can be paid for specific aspects. Some of us have some concerns about those aspects, which are entirely normal with this project, but I'm sure they will be bottled out. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we should change the basis of the arrangement. And as Councillor Shotton says, at a full time, for different reasons, the money is not spent. Some of it is spent, but not all of it. Then we have the chance to do something else with it. So I think if he's looking for somebody to second what he's proposing with a time scale, then that would be a sensible way to do it.
I would suggest, Roger, we give serious consideration to defer this motion for at least a cycle, and possibly rewording it. I agree with quite a lot of it, because I think actually just wording it to the village hall, without village hall's consent and the fact we're all trustees to it, gets quite difficult, really.
Yes, the class did assure me that the motion was quite valid. I wouldn't have proceeded with it unless I had had that advice. However, you must know the Community Land Trust is also not anything to do with this council. So, like the village, it's another organisation. I am quite prepared to accept this, and I'm also quite prepared to defer until the end of August, because even though the clerk did assure me that it wasn't absolutely necessary to do this, but I'm quite prepared to reword it some other way and resubmit it for August.
If I'm correct, I would imagine that the August forecast will fall outside the 6 month rule when this was voted in the first place. Which means they would all correspond together and we could make a very concise, fair decision.
But Chairman, if I may, can I just say, and I don't know whether this needs to be put to an amendment, but I mean, the motion as it is, it can stand. So Ron's not wrong in saying that motion is wrong. But if the intention is to be explicit in moving the money that is earmarked for one thing to earmark it for something else, then that needs to be explicit in the motion. It's inferred, but it's not explicit.
Would you refer me to delete anything to do with an alternative project?
Well, no, I think we need to be clear what you're saying. I'm not saying it's one way or the other.
I think this council, from what I can say around the room, would rather see it for a cycle.
You mean
Bring back the motion to the next full council.
Yes, well, that still would be something quite still arguing it's within the 6 month period, so that's why I suggested the end of August.
In that case, you're correct. I would suggest we do that.
Yes, well, that'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, well, I'll discuss with the clerk any alternative word.
Yeah.
If the council look further, no mention whatsoever of the
Village hall. I think that complicates things. I didn't realise it would. Well, so.
Yeah. See, if we're going to play this game in a couple of time, what we want, I think all councils will know, is what on earth you're going to spend £100,000 up to £100,000 on the village hall. I think we need details of what the trustees are thinking of.
I think we're going to take the village hall out of the motion.
Right.
And find something else. It's pretty obvious what we're trying to do here.
Yes, I think
Six songs for just making this all like taking the money out of the reserve, putting the land and put it somewhere else. Yeah, we're going to have to find something else on the village hall. But I mean, I think this council, various people have spoken and said there is a 6 month rule that what I want here in January. So what happened in January happens. Or vote against it possibly. But the 6 month rule comes to play, then this motion will have much more weight and seems like a fairer deal to me.
Yeah, but I think we've got to be very careful. We have already set the preset for this year, and the preset.
You're moving one to the other.
But the preset include the earmark reserves or what reserves are being used. If we start messing about the bits here and there, you know, what are we saying? That if anyone wants to come in and ask for £100,000 for, I don't know, fighting the parking, we should probably get much better use of the money, fighting the parking charges and Clevedon, we should do that. You know, where's it going to end? If we need money spent on something, let's have it explained to us exactly what it's required for. Please.
Well, that's fair enough. That's why we're going to secure the motion. I think to get making sure if this is it. Yeah. Carl?
Chairman, can I just ask two things? First of all, there is nothing to stop us changing what is in reserves. It is the overall size of the budget so we are allowed for our reserves policy to change where the reserves go. Just for clarity, what I'm concerned about is that we need to, without going over it again, when it comes back, there needs to be more clarity in the motion in a number of areas if it's coming back. The second thing is, can we please be clear as to what is the 6 months we're talking about? Because I'm talking about 6 months from when the budget was agreed, which was in March.
As I understand it, Mr. Chairman, it's 6 months from the time of resolution.
Yeah.
which will be 28th of January.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, let's be clear.
that's what I was thinking, yeah.
Okay,
So,
so we'll bring it back 6 months after January.
yeah,
Yes, I would like to do that.
yeah, all right.
Okay, it didn't technically go in the budget, but that's right.
Bill?
Yeah, I'm a bit lost here.
Yeah.
Perhaps you could say it there as well. Explain it to me. You're looking at taking the earmark reserve, what we've got for the Clevedon Land Trust, taking it away from them. Is that what you're doing?
That's in practice.
That's what I'd like to do. But where would we stand with Clevedon Land Trust? Haven't we sort of given a commitment to them?
Well, that's why I asked the first, for the 6 month roll-ons, gives everyone time.
Yeah.
Gives people natural time to maybe get something together. You know, and after the 6 month roll, this council can legally change its mind on anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying it can change. They can say everything. So, well, things can change its mind. It's wonderful. So, to be quite honest, I just strike me as a much better way of doing this than what we've got in front of us now.
Yeah, okay, but the Clevedon Land Trust have to come up with certain conditions.
They certainly do, yeah.
So do we let them know that if they haven't come up with it in 6
I think
months?
it's something else.
But Chairman, respectfully, we've done that. This is about this vote.
Yeah.
Bring it subject to this. That gives us a
Yes, Roger, you agree with that?
yes,
Right, in that case, got that, we're going to move it to the August meeting.
I'm just trying to make a function, not just say it would be a real shame. After listening to the speech that was made at the January 28th, so my so holiday in Europe. And I watched it on YouTube and I saw Councillor Custer stand up there where David is now. And it reminded me of Churchill saying, we would like to go on the beaches, but his words have stuck with me ever since. When he said, the people of Cleveland will never forgive us if we do not support this initiative. And I wholeheartedly support him in that, and will continue to do so, as the people of Cleveland will never forgive us if we don't support this initiative.
Well, we still are on that. Right, moving on, that's been deferred to August. So we're on FCA 38/26. So you consider the approved document actually registers completely the same plans as the statutory committee. See, it's that spreadsheet, everyone's had them. Each committee can alter an ad spreadsheet for individual committees. This is a good idea, which I tried to bring up. Councillor Harriet's carried it forward subsequently. Any questions? It's like a forward plan, really, for Somerset got that ripple action plan.
Chairman, I fully support this. The only thing I would say is, with the greatest respect to our partially departed former clerk, we need to tighten up the presentation of the minutes a little bit, and I have talked a little bit to Vicky about that tonight, and I have talked to Ron back and forth. In a way, this is about having what most minutes have on, which is matters arising, so that if anything is not on an agenda and needs to be shown to have been completed from the previous meeting, it's done. So we can bring it back as an action list or whatever, but the agenda should have items that we're taking forward, and the minutes and the matters arising from the minutes should be things where maybe we've finished or it's not on the agenda for the next meeting, but people still need an update. And that's a continuity that we have not had in all the minutes for some time. So I think this will do that, but it's another way of effectively saying matters arising.
I don't disagree, but I mean, I just think one document will that.
Yeah, that's fine.
It is more clarity.
Yeah. But we must make it a standalone entirely. It's got to be related to the meeting agenda. Otherwise, we'll still look at it and say, yes, that's lovely.
Very
nothing will happen.
I know, very good. Chris?
Well, yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. Right. We do have empirical evidence of a number of things this council has made resolutions upon that have just been lost in the whatever. An example of this is this council made a clear commitment to setting up a IT working group. I think you attended the first meeting. I was there. And I remember at the time we were talking about trying to reduce paper. And here we are again, awash with pieces of paper. I know it's not a lot. There is a principle involved. This council should be considering energy efficiency and reducing paper waste. And I remember at the time of the IT committee being set up and having its first meeting, we discussed and looked at, in order to reduce paper, maybe enabling councillors to use tablets so they could have the agenda and all the relevant documents on their tablet, and we wouldn't need to have all this paper. Now, this is a perfect example of what Parliament is talking about, where things are resolved on, a decision is made, and then nothing happens. It all just gets lost in the fog of time. And what has happened with this particular committee is that the chairman has now resigned. He didn't call any other meetings, so I appreciate you have found the problems. That council has now resigned. So what are we doing about that working committee? What are we doing about reducing paper waste?
Well, this is going to be a reaction plan because it'll be up to a full council meeting, in which case you'll be able to say, we did about that. So it will become part of the council workings again, as opposed to just get lost in the ether. So I agree with you. No, I don't want to labour the point. I think most people are in agreement. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. That yeah, I can't read you.
Just I think that I also said at FGP, which is it's really important that we have an archive tab on here. As there's going to be several people using the same document. What we can't have is when something's completed, it gets deleted from the spreadsheet because that information will be lost. So it needs to be that it's moved into an archive tab, so it's saved for future officers, councillors, when there's a change of council, that information is kept.
Good point. We got that? Yeah. Very relevant, yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping this becomes the last document for all projects this council does, which is quite significant. Right, moving on. Do we have to vote on that? Consider it in favour of that. Anyone against? That's carried. Moving on to what the last thing on the agenda. Installation of a CCTV camera, sorry, car park. I won't read it all, Bill. You want to introduce it?
Yeah, it's under T. At the last meeting, I proposed that we go for a CCTV camera.
I can say that technically, I'll propose on a second then, but
Well, I proposed it.
you proposed it, I'm not second on it. I'll say it from the chair. I'm quite the same.
I was going to say, but I withdrew the proposal as there were some objections about the car park in North Somerset with the car park and missing cameras. Well, subsequently, Ron had a meeting with North Somerset Council, Teams meeting. I sat in on it, and it was quite important. There was a lady there, I can't remember her name now, Sarah, was Sarah? She was from North Somerset. Anyway, the upshot of it was, if we go for the camera, we were worried about what would happen, with the antisocial behaviour. And she said, apparently they do it in North Somerset. If there's cars racing around in a car park, they can zoom in on the registrations. They can find out from the police the owners of the cars, and they can send them a penalty fine. And it doesn't matter who was driving the car, it goes to the owner of the car. So, and they do have community support officers that do patrol the area, but they finish their shift at 12 o'clock. And normally the incidents that are happening are until 12 o'clock. So, judging by what they said and the guy from the camera, if anybody's got any complaints on there, they can phone up the police. The police get in touch with the camera people straight away, and they can zoom in on it and look at what the problem is. So within a couple of minutes of somebody phoning and complaining, they could have eyes on, so to speak. It also looks at it can do a wider area besides the car park. You can do the marine lake further down on Saltwax Fields. So I'm going to repropose it again. Council puts forward that we go for the CCT camera. And I think it was it £12,000? But I was including that.
Money.
Oh yeah, and it can be paid by we can use still money for it.
Phil?
Chairman, I have agreed on grounds of behaviour that I won't object to this on the basis that we don't own the car park or get any forever from it. I might somewhat facetiously suggest that this is the last time we pay for something on somebody else's fee, or I'll start bringing my annual weekly daily shopping bill to the council, because they might have to do that. But to be quite serious, we have got still money. I think that it has been established that we can use still money for this, and therefore we should do so. I would also ask that the report that we get monthly in arrears on the CCTV has a separate category on this, so we can see what has actually happened in terms of action. We normally get those no more than a month in arrears, I understand, and because we like to see what the follow-up action is, and some members will know, and I won't raise now, but I will be putting on the agenda for the next FGP issues to do with our current expenditure on CCTV, because as members know, we have not had a response from North Somerset as to the whereabouts and use of the mobile camera that we have contributed towards up to now. But I'm happy to support the proposal, and we've got money, so.
Before the next speaker, I'd just like to speak briefly. CCTV has been a new point in this council for 15 years. And some of you that might have voted for it or against it 15 years ago might have remembered that I think Clevedon Town Council originally really wanted and requested a camera down the beach.
Yes.
And we were told we couldn't possibly have one in a million years. I'm not really sure why, because I can't remember.
Infrastructure.
I think the infrastructure wasn't there, and they couldn't do it. But we said, well, that's really important, isn't it? I can't have one. I know you can't. They're just in the triangle, and other places around there, down there, other fire stations, I think it was. It was like, yeah, great. So all of a sudden, now we're voting to have one put in the place where they said we couldn't have one in the first place. Ironic, not Somerset, really. I'm glad we deferred it, because subsequently after that, there was loads of trouble in South car park, and North Somerset used to close the gate. We asked them to do it again, they told us that they won't. So realistically, leaves us with not much choice now. If we want to stop something, we've got to do it ourselves. Because we've got just another part of evolution. There you go, Clevedon, do it yourself. So unfortunately, I'm going to vote for this in favour of it, because we've got little choice. And you've mentioned the cameras. One of the other reasons we defer this to ask where our cameras are, the mobile ones. And as far as I know, we still haven't got an answer. The invisible mobile cameras. I mean, one thing I will say is me and Bill and anyone else who wants to at this council are going to try and arrange a meeting down at North Somerset in the CCTV place so you can have a look at it. And I'm going to ask again if they can find the cameras underneath the car parks. I find it's quite disgraceful, really, like Carl said. But we paid for it all. And as far as I know, we paid for a camera, which now either the police or the CCTV crew have lost. And I'm quite glad we've asked these questions, had a meeting, and it's deferred this situation. And as far as I'm sort of quite for it then, but I'm happy to vote for it now. David is first.
Mr. Chairman, I'm totally opposed to us providing cameras to protect other people's feet. We have no jurisdiction over the car park whatsoever. We have no powers to police it. We don't own it. So we should not be spending money on protecting other people's property, because that opens a very big gate. If we protect the car park, and the reason in the town want to protect the youth club, the scout hut, all on public property, will be subject to vandalism in the past. Cricket ground, we then have no viable excuse not to support those measures. And I feel, Mr. Chairman, I cannot see the members of Westport turning out in the middle of the night, police the car park because the town council camera says there is someone misbehaving. Who is going to police it? The camera is useless. Without there is someone actually going to go there and do something. And that is the most important thing. Whose responsibility is it to take action to prevent a nuisance? Not the camera, but individually. And until that question is answered, satisfactorily, I'm not prepared to support a camera in sort of comfort.
Joe?
Yeah, thank you. Yes. This has been a problem, to my knowledge, since 1991. And it was obviously down to all the races coming into the car and zooming around late at night, causing massive noise, disturbance, and everything else. It was in Westward, it was a Westward county for many years, prior to the organisation of the boundaries. And I know the problem exists down there. But sometimes there was immediate, and it actually cured the problem very quickly, and that was to lock the car park every night. And that stopped the cars coming in and to cut down by 80% the antisocial behaviour. I was surprised when I found out the car park isn't being locked because I thought it was still the case that that was it. But I do agree, in discussions we had before, because we did talk cameras down on the seafront and in Salthouse car park, and we were told then that the cost of transmission, the cost of connecting it up to the network, which I think is based in the library, or it still is a lot, but the cost of doing that was prohibitive. Now, can we have an assurance that the £12,000 that's been requested is the total project amount? It includes the installation of the camera itself, the monitoring, and the infrastructure work to connect it to the network. Because I think that we need to be quite clear on these things. We don't want to agree to it and then find out, oh, hang on, there's going to be another £30,000 to link it up to the existing network. If the £12,000 the total cost, including what I've mentioned, then I support it. But I would also like, as belt and braces, I would like the district council to reconsider locking the car park as well every night. Because I think that is imperative.
I can answer a few of those from the chair. Apart from monitoring it, which will fall under the CCTV remit of monitoring, everything else is favourite. The one thing I don't know about is VAT, because VAT I don't know about anyway. But everything else, belt and braces has been looked into, has been done. Monitoring it, I presume, will just fall under the normal CCTV. And locking it with the part of the meeting we had was to ask the questions that you just asked, which is why we deferred it, because Carl or someone brought up, why would we lock the gates anymore? And they've definitively told us to take a run in there.
They have
not going to lock it.
They told me they haven't locked the gates for 10 years and they've got no intention of.
No, I'm not mistaken.
But it's in the paper that we've been saying it, so says it was never Somerset that it was a volunteer who took charge.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
The proof of I think the proof of the pudding will be it, which is where Carl said we need to follow it up. We go ahead with it, we need to follow it up.
And make sure it works.
And make sure if there is problems down there and there are cars down there, that what the lady said was they could send out fines, penalty notices to the people who are driving around. So we can definitely follow that up.
First,
Chair. quite frankly. To pick up on Sharon's point, we're not doing this for the benefit of the council. We're doing it for the benefit of our residents who've suffered badly with sleepless nights, disturbed nights. They're elderly people, they become very distressed by this situation. It's been going on. It was only brought to my attention but this time last year, and apparently they've been suffering this for like years. I've been working on this for the last 10 months, and I cannot believe how difficult it's been to get such a simple solution. The guy that used to close the thing was a volunteer, has been doing it for years, and he stopped doing it because he got so much abuse. The power is the only solution to trying to help these poor people out who've been suffering so badly. And I think we really need to just get it done, set up, and hopefully it will bring them some relief.
Right?
Well, Councillor Charles has said what I was going to say, to be honest, and I understand Councillor Shopping's point of view. We are monitoring someone else's property, but the reason we're doing this is for the people who keep in that outbreak everything from me. So I was just saying,
No. Cool, Carl. I mean, I remember CQT is a pretty new point, especially from this council. I mean, we agreed to set it up a long time ago, and then pretty much everyone straight afterwards went, these aren't very good, are they? It doesn't really do much. But the argument we've had for 20 years is, does that outweigh the fact that the public are convinced CCTV is a concern and makes it feel safer? And so, because if you look at the rest of the world, it seems to work. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not so sure about the usefulness of CCTV, but it does send a message, and as a deterrent, I think it does work. Carl?
Chairman, there are two other things that just need to be said. The first is that what's changed in the past time is that we've now got digital cameras and this will be not. That is important because originally when we were having a debate with Trevor alluded to, goes back years, they were analog cameras that could not be used as primary evidence. We are now told that they can be used as primary evidence, therefore you don't physically need a policeman or woman to have identified something catched up by the camera. They can act on the camera evidence to go and serve the notices on the drivers or whatever they're going to do. Just as a tiny little practical point, I don't think there's a problem with us using the SIL money as we've already established, but we do just need to establish technically, and not tonight because we'll debate it forever, but who is actually placing the order, whose camera is it, and therefore who recovers the VAT.
Yeah, I agree, which is why I said I'm not sure about the VAT, but it will be claiming or something.
Well, and the attendant insurance issue like that, we'll need to look at that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we can do that office-wide.
Yeah.
Right, that concludes that debate. So I'd like to say, all in favour of the installation of CCTV camera side car? Yeah. Anyone again? Abstention? Yeah. Again, oh, yeah, it's a kind of yeah, no, right. Thank you very much. That's everybody.